I call to order this meeting of the Scottsdale Unified School District Governing Board. The date is December 10th and the time is 5 p.m. The board is going to convene in executive session. But first, we're going to have a roll call from my far right, please.
Karen Warner. Amy Carney.
Julie Sanowski.
And Libby Hartwells, we do have a quorum. We will proceed with our executive session item, which is the discussion and consideration of the superintendent's mid-year evaluation pursuant to Governing Board Policy CBI, evaluation of superintendent, and ARS 38-431.03A1. The employee has been notified in writing in accordance with statutory provision. It does require a vote to convene into executive session. I move to convene into executive session for the reason just stated in the agenda. A second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes 5-0. We will reconvene. Session. I think we have some special guests. I call to order this regular meeting of the Scottsdale Unified School District Governing Board. Today is December 10th, and the time is 6:01 p.m. Thank you, community watchers, for the indulgence of the minute. We were being entertained with some special guests from Desert Mountain. That was wonderful. Thank you. All right. Vice President Lindsay, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Take a roll call. A roll call. Ms. Warner, could you start, please?
Karen Warner. Amy Carney.
Julie Sinowski.
Zach Lindsay.
And Libby Hartwells. We have 5 board members present. We have a quorum, and we will proceed with district business. We had one request for an agenda item to be moved, 2 action items 11A and 11B, to be moved up to after 9A, so we would have a new item, 2 items before the consent agenda 10. Other than that, I did not get any other requests for agenda amendments. Are there any? Ms. Carney?
I'm sorry, could you explain that again? I didn't understand.
I
what we-
had a request that we would move action item 11A and 11B up in the agenda to follow 9A, but before the consent agenda item 10.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If no further requests, I move to approve the agenda as amended. A second?
Second that motion.
Motion moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes 5-0. All right, we are going to move to the meeting decorum. I will read that quickly, and then we'll get to the best part of the evening, and that is the student celebrations. Citizens attending and or participating in the Scottsdale Unified School District meeting, either in person, virtually, or telephonically, are required to observe the same rules of order and decorum applicable to members of the Scottsdale Unified School District. Unauthorized remarks or demonstrations from members of the audience, such as personal remarks, yells, outbursts, and or other disruptions are not permitted. All right, Dr. Menzel, I will turn this over to you now.
Well, good evening, President Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, and members of the governing board. And greetings to all of our families and community members who are in attendance this evening. Once again this month, our Fine Arts Coordinator, Michelle Irvin, will get things started for us. I assume you'll formally introduce for us the two amazing vocalists that we just heard from. Mike's not on.
Is that good? Yes. All right, good evening. Thank you, Dr. Menzel, President Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, board members, and Gladys. It's my great honor to bring up the two vocalists again, Maximilian Farkas and Cameron Hall, and their teacher, Amanda McKay, and their principal, Mr. Andrews from Desert Mountain High School. So I'd like to give a big shout out to these two students for coming up and singing this morning. I was telling a little bit to Cameron when she came in this morning that I've been in the district a few years, over 30. And in that time, I think we've had two students that have made All-State Jazz. So to have two students in 1 year from Desert Mountain High School really shows the incredible excellence that's happening with their wonderful choral teacher and these amazing students. So Cameron here was #1 soprano in the entire state of Arizona in the All-State Jazz Choir. Right? So wow, we would be like, that's insane. And then Maximilian here decides, well, I think I'll go one up on that. And I got chosen as in the National Jazz Choir. Never in SUSD have we ever had a student in the National Jazz Choir. And this young man is in that. So huge round of applause to this amazing student. And I want to give a big thank you to the incredible instructor, Amanda McKay, who's really been elevating excellence every single day in your classrooms and giving these opportunities to your students to excel on a local level and a national level, making world-class education. And thank you, Mr. Andrews, for helping support these programs to make that happen. We have these amazing challenge coins to celebrate the wonderful excellence you've been doing. So thank you so much, and congratulations to both of you. I will. I got it next. Oh, it's the next person. Oh, no, this way. Yeah. So one portion of my job is fine arts, and the other portion of my job is physical education. And I have the great honor tonight to celebrate some physical educators, well, physical educator and their amazing students. I now want to turn my attention to Ingleside Middle School. And could I have Susan Leonard come up and her wonderful students, and Dr. Michael, their wonderful principal. As they're coming up, because I know Susan Leonard will be talking. Susan Leonard is actually our lead middle school physical educator for the district and has been the entire time I've had this wonderful position, and she has been a guiding light for myself, helping me create the best opportunities for her students. And we had new national physical education standards released this summer, and she embraced them so much, and with her students and these kids actually presented at a conference, the Arizona State Physical Education Conference. So I'm going to pass it to the amazing Susan Leonard to talk about it.
Good evening. Madam President, Dr. Menzel, board members, and Gladys. I'm proud to be standing with two of my outstanding Ingleside students, 7th grader Bella Smith and 8th grader Graham Neary. They initiated, created, and presented the session embedding the new Shape America standards into engaging assessments at the Arizona Health and Physical Education State Convention this past November at the Mesa Convention Center. In their session, they shared their why, their project-based learning assignment was significant, the step-by-step process, and ultimately, each of their projects completed to that point. They are ultimately due next week, where they're going to be presenting to the 6th graders, which embedded the new Shape America National Physical Education Standards. Please understand, they were speaking to an audience of K through 12 educators from across Arizona, including past and present teachers of the year, past and current presidents of physical education for Arizona, MBCTs, and members from higher ed. Thus, when asked questions to the level of, which standard is your favorite, and please justify why it is your favorite in your response, and how do you envision these standards impacting you throughout your life, Bella and Graham responded with grace and strong academic content. They weren't intimidated. They dictated the path of learning for the adults through the lens of a student. Further evidence of the purposeful positive impact of their session was clear when approximately half the audience stayed after the presentation to speak to Graham and Bella, asking additional questions for their opinions through the student's lens and for copies of their project. It is significant to share that SUSD is the only district in Arizona to have middle school students present at the state convention in at least the last 20 years. I've had students present at the state convention before, but this is the first time they initiated, created, and dictated an educational dialogue with a group of professionals to this distinguished level. These students represented their peers, Ingleside, and SUSD by truly elevating excellence. In closing, I want to thank you for the opportunity to recognize these two outstanding students this evening. I also want to thank Bella and Graham's, I was going to say parents, but we got family. We got extended family. We got grandmas. We got all sorts of people here. So, and yeah, they're waving, okay. Oh, I lost my place, sorry. Parents and audience for their unwavering support as each continues to pursue and elevate their academic excellence. So, I have a few things. It is on a rare occasion that you get recognized by these amazing people, and so I have a copy of the invitation framed for each of you. I also have challenge coins and framed for you. I'm so proud to give them to you as a representative of our district for your academic excellence. And I couldn't be more proud. You are why I teach. So, thank you so much.
I also, not as fancy, but want to give a coin to Susan Leonard for elevating excellence every day. She is a driving force. Love it.
Thank you, Susan. Congratulations, Bella and Graham. Love seeing the student leadership, the initiation, and I suspect that won't be the last time that we see them here in front of the governing board. Now I'd like to invite to the podium Dr. Kim Dodds-Karen, and as she's coming forward, I'd invite the audience to look at the screen because we have a little special something for you as a part of this celebration.
evening, President Dr. Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, governing board members, Dr. Menzel, and Mrs. Wagner. Was that not fascinating to watch that landscape come to life? The colors seem to jump off the page, and truly the imagination and understanding of our beautiful landscape is just mind-blowing. Beautiful, Zoe. I'd like you to meet the creative student behind this gorgeous drawing. Come stand closer, let everybody see you. This is Zoe McClure. She is from Arcadia High School. She is a sophomore. We also have with us this evening her teacher, Mrs. Riccio, and our principal, Dr. Janelle Dansky, principal of Arcadia High School. Additionally, joining us this evening is the senior manager of the Scottsdale Library's Public Service and Operations. This is Tamara Norwood. Welcome, everyone. A call went out in September to local youth artists between ages of 13 and 18, and the charge was to design the next Scottsdale Public Library card. The specs: landscape orientation, 8.5 by 11 paper, and lots of imagination. Zoe, along with a few other SUSD students, Desert Mountain's Anya Patel and Chaparral's Luis Chiapietti, were among the 52 who submitted drawings and were named finalists about 2 weeks ago. The judges, more than 3,000 of us, local residents who voted online for their favorite. At the library's Ultimate Family Playdate this past Saturday at the Scottsdale Civic Center, Library Director Mike Beck announced that Zoe's entry had received the most votes. Of course, it takes outrageous artistic talent to create a piece such as this, but it also took quite a bit of her fall break. 6 hours of time, not counting meal breaks. After all, creativity must be nourished. So what happens next? Zoe's colored pencil drawing will be configured to fit the library's 3.5 by 2 inch format to be available to all Scottsdale Library patrons. And we will begin collecting this card starting next month. I know I'll be in line to get one, and my husband certainly will probably be one of the first. He is quite the library patron. So congratulations, Zoe. Please accept this challenge coin on behalf of SUSD for recognizing your talent and your beautiful contributions to our city, and for readers throughout our city that are going to check out books with your library card. Congratulations. We're proud of you. We actually have the real thing that we can look at. You want to show it? It's yours. It's beautiful.
That's truly incredible.
Thank you.
I'm truly blown away by the talent, and so excited to see people walking around with their library cards now that are a product of her creativity and passion of capturing our desert landscape. So congratulations, Zoe. Now I'd like to turn to the theatrical arts and invite Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, Dr. Melissa Sackos, to tell us about an award-winning high school playwright. Dr. Sackos.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Menzel. I'd like you to meet Desert Mountain High School sophomore, Sophia Bartone Zoll. Sophia, would you please join me at the podium, along with any of your teachers in attendance, and of course, Principal Andrews. I am pleased to introduce to you Sophia Martone Zoll, winner of the Arizona Thespians Central Region Jerome McDonough Playwriting Award for her original play, Nowhere in Particular. The award is named for a longtime Texas high school drama teacher who is often referred to as the father of young adult drama. His more than 40 years have been produced in all 50 states, all Canadian provinces, and 11 foreign countries over the years. Sophia reports that it took her about 5 months to develop the story to the point where she considered it finished. It all started last school year in Shad Willingham's Theater 1 class. And there's Mr. Willingham. And as you know, art takes time. So what is Nowhere in Particular? What is it about? Well, it's a story of a teenage Kiera who finds herself at a rest stop after a long road trip. The rest stops only employee, the clerk, seems to take a liking to her. While she is there, she also encounters unreal beings, which leads Kiara to question her surroundings and herself. Wow. I may have to excuse myself from this governing board meeting to hear the rest. Do you have time? Yeah? Is that okay with you? Sure. All right. Those who attended last month's Arizona Thespians Festival at Phoenix Convention Center were lucky enough to find out because they got to see Sophia's play performed on stage on the festival's final night. That must have been really, really cool. Sophia does not consider herself to be a great writer, yet she says it's more about being real. That said, we're thinking this may also be a case of the apple not falling far from the tree. Sophia's mother, who I believe is here tonight, Anne. Come on, Mom, you got to stand up and wave. Teaches English 1 and 2 honors at Desert Mountain High School. Congratulations, Sophia, on being named one of Arizona's best high school playwrights with the creativity, determination, and ability to tell a compelling story. Please accept this challenge coin as a recognition of your outstanding work. Congratulations as well to Mr. Willingham, a playwright himself, for providing opportunities like this for our students to succeed. With that, Dr. Menzel, I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to go get the rest of the story.
Congratulations, Sophia. And no, you're not excused, Dr. Sakos. Nice try. So now we have another celebration, second of its kind here in Scottsdale. And to introduce the celebration, I would like to invite forward Patty Bilbrey, our Director of Nutrition Services. Patty.
So good evening, Governor Hartwells, President Hartwells. I've just elevated you, right? Members of the governing board, Dr. Menzel, and Gladys. I'm thrilled to be with you here tonight to celebrate a truly meaningful moment here at SUSD. It's my distinct honor to invite members of the Anasazi School community to join me at the podium. I know you're in a couple different places, so come on up. We have our dynamic principal, Jen Waldron, our assistant principal, Andrea Martin, our lead nurse, Renee Tosto, who I've been on the wellness committee with for many, many years, and their incredible team of friends and supporters. And joining us at the podium from the team at the Blue Zones Project Scottsdale are Sarah Kearney, Executive Director, Danielle Anderson, Organization and Wellbeing Lead, and Tara Meyer, who's the Organization and Wellbeing Coordinator. So the Blue Zones Project is a remarkable global initiative that is changing the way we think about our communities. It focuses on creating environments that promote health and longevity, inspired by those unique longevity hotspots around the world where people routinely live 100 years or longer. For us at SUSD, the goal is to empower the students, staff, and families to make healthier choices that support long and vibrant lives. Tonight, we have another extraordinary milestone to celebrate as Anasazi Elementary School is the second school at SUSD to achieve Blue Zone certification. And I'm going to invite Tara Meyer up to see if she can kind of share with us a little bit of what it took for Anasazi to reach this milestone, because it's quite significant. Tara?
Thank you, Patty. Good evening, President Dr. Libby Hartwells, board members, Dr. Menzel, and Gladys. So, as Patty said, my name is Tara Meyer, and I'm an Organization and Wellbeing Coordinator at Blue Zone Project Scottsdale. And I'm thrilled to be here to celebrate one of our partners, Anasazi Elementary School, in officially achieving their Blue Zone's approval. Anasazi's journey began with the formation of their Passionate Health and Wellbeing Advisory, their Blue Zones crew, led by Principal Jennifer Waldron, Nurse Renee Tosto, Mrs. Martin, Miss Armstrong, Mr. Bragg, Mrs. Alfonso de Rosa, Mrs. Sobel, and Miss Wade, and together they created a culture of well-being that touches every corner of their school. Their approach to nutrition sets a high standard. They've introduced a fruit and vegetable bar in the cafeteria, discontinued using unhealthy foods at fundraisers, removed treats as a classroom reward. They have non-food focused birthday celebrations, and they integrate nutrition education into daily lessons. These efforts have come to life in projects like their vertical tower garden that uses worm composting and their school garden, which is already taking root. Anasazi also weaves physical education into each school day with dance challenges, yoga, and programs like Move to Learn. They've created a calming cove, a twinkle-lit tunnel that helps students to mindfully transition back into the classroom. And this year they spearheaded a pumpkin plod, which will become an annual walk to school day, bringing families and students together for movement at the beginning of the day. Their focus on community is equally inspiring. Through their Grand Pals program, third graders have the opportunity to connect with a pen pal at a local senior living facility, and they create cross-generational connections that are mutually beneficial to both parties. From their Checkers program, which rewards students with a bead for every lap walked, to their Labyrinth, a student-built space for learning and reflection, Anasazi Elementary sets a true gold standard for student health and well-being, and their work exemplifies exactly what Blue Zones Project Scottsdale stands for. Congratulations to the entire Anasazi team for making a difference in the lives of students, families, the community, and we couldn't be more thrilled to celebrate you guys tonight.
Thanks, Tara. It's always great to hear you talk about what it takes to become Blue Zone certified. Reaching that milestone is not a small feat, and I'd like to introduce Jen Waldron here to say a few brief words. If you know Jen, it won't be super brief, but come on up, Jen. Tell us about what it took for you to reach this goal and the journey there.
Thank you, Patty. I'll try to be brief. Good evening, President Dr. Libby Hartwells, distinguished board members, Dr. Menzel and Gladys. Tonight, I stand before you with immense pride and excitement to share another transformative milestone for our school. The official designation as a Blue Zones Project approved school recognition is one that goes far beyond a simple title and represents our commitment to creating a healthier, more supportive environment for our students and staff. When we first embarked on this journey in August, our goal was simple yet profound: to continue to create a school culture at Anasazi that prioritizes wellness, connection, and holistic student development. The Blue Zones Project has provided us with a comprehensive framework to turn that vision into reality. Our transformation touches every aspect of our school environment, as Tara shared a brief overview. The impact of Blue Zones extends far beyond our school walls. By becoming a Blue Zones Project approved school, we're teaching our students lifelong habits of health, resilience, and community engagement. We're showing them that wellness is not a destination, but a continuous journey of personal growth and collective support. This achievement is a testament to the incredible collaboration of our teachers, staff, students, families, and Scottsdale community. Each person has played a crucial role in reimagining what a school can be. Not just a place of academic learning, but a nurturing ecosystem that supports the holistic development of our young students. We are particularly proud to be among the first two schools in Scottsdale to achieve this distinction. We thank Echo Canyon, the first Blue Zones approved school in SUSD, for their support and mentorship along the way. Our hope is that we too can serve as a model and inspiration for other schools, demonstrating that when we prioritize well-being, we create environments where students can truly thrive. As Anasazi celebrates this milestone, we recommit ourselves to the principles of the Blue Zones Project. We will continue to innovate, to learn, and to create a school environment that supports the potential of every single student. Thank you to the Blue Zones Project Scottsdale for your guidance, especially Tara. Thank you, Anasazi Blue Crew committee members, for spearheading this initiative in record speed, I might add. Thank you, SUSD, and to our Anasazi community for your commitment to the Blue Zones Project. And most importantly, thank you to our incredible Anasazi Scorpions, who inspire us each and every single day to be better, to do better, and to create a healthier, more connected world because of kids. Thank you.
So what an outstanding, yeah, that was really good, by the way. What an outstanding accomplishment this is. And, you know, this makes my heart like really proud and soar to know that we have Echo Canyon and now Anasazi being that locomotive that's going to just push all our other schools in SUSD to become Blue Zone certified as well. How great would that be to see every single school at SUSD part of the Blue Zones Project? What a great collaboration this is. So with that, I want to provide you with a challenge coin, if I can get it open here. for all of the hard work you did, and I know that this is not an easy task. Thank you. All right.
Congratulations, Anasazi. And just for the record, Tara is an SUSD legacy, Arcadia, I believe. It's really exciting to see our schools jump in and support student health and well-being as a part of the Blue Zones initiative. And now, to celebrate another community initiative, we're going to invite Christine Harrington. You're just moving the slide, Nancy. I thought you were directing me. So we're going to invite Christine Harrington to celebrate a district-level award from the Chamber of Commerce. Christine.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. If I can please ask Desert Mountain admin, teachers, and students who supported our endeavor into winning this to please join me at the podium, that would be terrific. Thanks, guys. We are, of course, very proud to announce, in case you missed it somewhere along the way, that we are named the winners of the Sterling Award for the Big Business category by the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce. So this is a win for the entire district, certainly. The award is based on business excellence and positive community impact. As part of the application process, we had to submit answers to a bunch of questions about who we are and what it is that we do, how our business impacts the community, our partnerships, our staff, as well as what it is that's on the horizon for us. And we had a chance to really celebrate a number of successes. Then we had the judges come out to tour our business. But as you well know, we don't just have like one storefront, right? So we've got 30 different schools serving toddlers through 12th grade. So it's difficult to show a team of judges a whole lot all at once, especially when you only have 60 minutes to do it. But we managed to tell a very good story when visiting Desert Mountain High School. And so we appreciate everyone who welcomed us to Desert Mountain High School, where, of course, they have the IB program, as well as championship athletics and arts and robotics. The judges were able to meet these exceptional students, be able to ask them questions and really learn from their truly lived experiences. We visited a number of classes, IB classes, fashion design, as well as CTE, and we even visited Miss Rosenfeld's class, where she created this massive fireball that was just amazing and left all of us speechless. So safe to say the whole experience was fire. And that's likely why we won, right? Is because engaging with these young people and these teachers, they just seal the deal. So want to tell you how thankful we are for you, grateful for the staff, the students, the parents, the partners all across this community that support us, because this is truly a district win. And especially thankful to Principal Andrews, who in his first year and the second week of school rallied teachers and students so that everyone was willing to open their doors and hearts and really share what is so special about being Desert Mountain, and then additionally being part of SUSD. So thank you all so very much. This is as much a win for you as it is for everyone in the district. So thank you, and I have challenge points.
Truly was a showcase of elevating excellence, truly, and appreciative for your willingness to take that on. It was a lot of fun, and I know the judges walked away very impressed, and at least one of them had children who were graduates of Desert Mountain High School, and so it brought back really good memories, including reconnecting with some teachers he hadn't spoken with for a while, so it was fantastic.
So much. We can
Thank you.
step out and take a picture.
So we presented many different kinds of celebrations to you this evening, and want to round it out from teaching, learning, and performing perspective by once again inviting Michelle Irvin to the podium. Ms. Irvin.
Thank you, Dr. Menzel, President Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, board members, Gladys. This is quite a wonderful night for me, by the way. I am very excited to bring in our last group, and of course, you can't bring in one of these type of groups without a little pep. So could I have the Coronado High School Marching Dons join us, please? So it's my great honor. I'm like, my heart's actually pounding a little because I'm. This band has been through a lot. 3 teachers, if you include me, 4, in 3 years. And I fell in love with them instantly. And I wanted someone to take them to that next place. And this young man took it there. I am so honored to say that Coronado Dons are the state champions for Abota. Yeah. It takes a lot to get there. I know, I've been there. They were in 13th place 2 years ago. They moved to 8th last year. And we brought this young little whippersnapper in, Brett Bell. And he just had a vision and a goal. And you want to talk about elevating excellence? I mean, everything that you did, you told them it was possible. They drank the Kool-Aid. And they made it happen, and they won every single competition in the Abota circuit the whole season. I mean, unbelievable. So it is my great honor, and I thank you so much, Brett, for coming to SUSD. You can never leave. You're stuck. We got your parents as, helpers and chaperones. Mom, I love you. You can never leave. So I just want you to know how much it means to me. You can tell, because I almost cried like a baby. Because I know what they went through. In fact, I look at them, and I took some of them to New York with about, 14 hours notice. They've been through a lot. Kids, I'm so proud of you. I hope you take this drive and enthusiasm through your whole life. Yes, you can make anything happen, yes? Do your proficiency seals, audition for regionals and all-state. I love you. So anyway, it's my great honor, Brett, to give you this. I'm sure this will be one of many, elevating excellence, and for the whole band. And I don't know if you want to see anything.
Yeah, I can just say thank you. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of our parents, including Mr. and Mrs. Bell, Jim and Susan. You guys are at everything. You are honorary Dons. Once you are a Don, you are always a Don. But our parents, our families, our grandparents, everybody here at Coronado is incredibly proud of you. We appreciate all of the district support that we have gotten from Michelle, from Dr. Dodds, from Dr. Menzel, from Dr. Sakos. We just cannot thank you guys enough for everything that you have done for us. Brett, there are great things coming our way, and we appreciate your leadership, and you are building a legacy. So thank you. And for our kids, we are so proud of you. The sky's the limit. So let's go, guys. Be proud of yourselves. Congratulations.
And before we leave, I want to take a quick moment. Dr. Hartwells, Mr. Lindsay, Ms. Sanowski, I thank you guys so much for all you've done for the arts. The importance you put to a well-rounded education with arts and physical education is powerful. I hope you see tonight, 5 of these 7 presentations. This would not have been possible without you, and I hope you know your impact is felt. And I will, I'll miss you, and I hope the greatest things for you. But thank you so much. I love you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Marching Dons. Thank you, Mr. Bell. You don't know this yet, but we're working on showcasing your talent in February at another event in Phoenix. So I'm just truly impressed by all that you've accomplished. Thank you.
Ball State. 1, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, that's really hard to top. And it wouldn't be bad to start every meeting that way. It just gets the blood flowing, and after a long day, it keeps you awake. But we're not done yet. There's one more thing, because tonight is the final night for 3 of our governing board members. And so, since I have the mic and an opportunity to say a few words, I will. First, I have the privilege and honor of working with these 3 individuals for the past 4 years. And I cannot imagine a more difficult 4 years to serve as a governing board member than from January of 2021 to the present. Serving during a global pandemic in an environment where everything was upside down, leading in a time of uncertainty, and yet leading with confidence about the core purpose of our work here at Scottsdale Unified School District. I know that every day you were forced to make decisions sometimes that were very difficult. You were challenged with respect to how those decisions unfolded. But I don't believe that you ever lost sight of what was most important for our kids. And so to talk just a little bit about some of the successes. So we didn't have a strategic plan, but during their tenure, we developed our strategic plan focused on our core purpose, because kids, and our commitment to elevating excellence every day. And you see example after example after example in our governing board meetings. We didn't have a policy, HA, that recognized our employees and gave them a voice at the table until these 3 joined the governing board. We did not have the same level of focus on academic rigor and excellence, particularly when it comes to science. I think about even the equitable science opportunities here at Coronado with respect to physics. And Mr. Lindsay, I have never known a board member who has attended more athletic events and contributed so much to ensuring that we could elevate excellence in athletics. So when you think about Scottsdale Unified School District, while we know that we have many opportunities for improvement, this is a governing board and governing board members who have committed to elevating academic excellence, excellence in the arts, and excellence in athletics. And it wouldn't have happened without the 3 of you putting yourselves out there. The pay that you get for this is not in currency because you don't get any money for it. But I hope that you see the investment in the lives of the students who have come through the system while you're on the board and those who are in the pipeline. And so with that, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude. I know it hasn't been easy, and we do have a parting gift for each of you. And I want to present that to you now, but I just want to thank you in all seriousness for all that you've done to elevate excellence in Scottsdale Unified. All right, so now from celebrations to some more serious things. We do have a couple of curriculum options that are underway right now, and we have curriculum on display at the SUSD Oak campus for Intro to Statistics and AP IB Bio and AP Biochem. So anyone who wants to review that material, you have an opportunity to do so. And we are also currently recruiting for committee members for AP World History and World History, AP World History, AP U.S. History and U.S. History, and the application for that committee work closes on December 18th. So we would encourage interested community members to submit an application to serve on those committees. We know that that curriculum adoption process can be time-consuming, but it's very important as we think about the text that we'll be bringing forward to the governing board for future consideration. Last night, we had the fall athletic banquet. And it was a true joy to watch student athletes be recognized and honored, as were our 3 departing governing board members with plaques of appreciation. Mr. Slater, our athletic director, pointed out the things that happened under their watch as well, related to increasing compensation for coaches, reinstating coaching positions that had been eliminated, ensuring that our coaches got a bigger portion of the camp split. So all of those things were highlighted and celebrated with respect to the investment and the contribution of this board for athletics. And it was just truly a joy to watch as our student athletes were celebrated. We also have a number of other things that are happening over the next 2 weeks as we bring to close this semester. We have performing arts, plays, concerts, musical performances by our bands and orchestras. And so if you have an opportunity, I would invite you to stop by and enjoy one of those exhibitions of student talent. Earlier today, we had the opportunity to convene on the campus of Navajo Elementary to participate in a ribbon cutting. The ribbon cutting was really exciting. I need to give a shout out to Principal Patzloff and the entire Navajo team, as well as Dennis Rayler, Joe Arteca, and the members of the facilities team who actually built a greenhouse on the campus of Navajo Elementary. This project was funded by a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture that was pursued by Empowering Arizona, a nonprofit based in Scottsdale that's looking to create additional opportunities for students. The greenhouse on the campus of Navajo is one of only 2 funded projects under this grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And if you haven't had an opportunity to get on the campus to see it, since we had the ribbon cutting today, I would certainly recommend that you take an opportunity to take a tour. They've already had amazing gardens, but now with the greenhouse, they're going to be able to do some very impressive things year-round to enhance STEM education for the students on that campus. So congratulations to all who were a part of that project. I also want to point out that we are going to, on December 18th at 6 o'clock, hold a graduation ceremony and celebration for winter graduates. We have, I think, over 40 who will be graduating in December. We've invited all of them. We don't know how many will show up, but we've invited all of them to join us here in the governing boardroom so that we can celebrate their accomplishment as they conclude their education here at Scottsdale Unified School District. And finally, I want to, because it's the last governing board meeting of the year, I want to thank our teachers, our administrators, our support staff, all of the individuals who make Scottsdale Unified School District truly an exceptional place for children to learn, for people to come to work every day. The impact that you have on our community and on the future of Scottsdale is truly powerful, and I'm just grateful to be able to walk alongside you on this journey to elevating excellence for our students. And I want to wish everyone, our parents, our staff, a very happy holiday season, and we'll look forward to reconvening in the new year.
Thank you, Dr. Menzel. Thank you for the gifts. And actually, because, as you now know, this evening is the last board meeting for 3 of us. We had a request to move the governing board reports up. There are some words of gratitude and thanks that would like to be shared. So we're going to do this just a little bit differently. We're going to do this roll call style. Ms. Warner, if you would like to start with your governing report, if you have one.
I don't have one.
All right. Ms. Carney. Ms. Sanowski.
Of course I do. Thank you, Dr. Hartwells. Attending the Scottsdale Expo, the Student Scholar Athlete Banquet, and as Dr. Menzel mentioned, these are some of the activities that reminded me of why. This has not been easy work, but it's been rewarding. This is a place that I've called my home, raised my family, and I will continue to advocate for SUSD as a general citizen. Good governance is staying in the lanes of authorized responsibility. It's trusting and verifying information. It's supporting the qualified experts to perform their best work and seeking ways to improve our overall systems with creativity and perseverance. I've learned a lot and appreciated the opportunities to continue to serve my community. I hope the legacy that we have created here has provided benefit to our students and all of the employees of Scottsdale Unified School District. As I mentioned, this work has not been easy, but it has been rewarding and very valuable. I appreciate all the support that those of you in the room have provided, and many who are not here this evening have also provided. I'd like to make note that we have a very defined system in place to address and solve problems in SUSD. We are not perfect. We continue to work every class period of every day to improve our systems. And I would suggest to individuals that continue to show up at our governing board meetings, to try to solve problems at their public comment, to be more resourceful and use the systems that we have in place to solve the problems. Because this is not reality TV. This is real world, and these are real human beings that work to better the lives of our children every day. So again, thank you for your trust. I appreciate you.
Mr. Lindsay? No? All right, I do have a few words I'd like to share. First, I'd like to I attended the SUSD Expo as well that was held a few weeks ago, and I want to thank all of the teachers and the students and the families and staff who extended their day. It was a long day, but well worth it. It was really impressive to see all the great things that are going on and that you were profiling them and putting them out there for the community to be aware of. I want to congratulate you for it. I thought it was a great event. As Dr. Menzel indicated, the student athletic banquet for fall sports was last evening, and I want to add my heartfelt congratulations to all the student athletes who were honored last night and their loved ones. A special thanks to Dr. Sacco's District Athletic Director Nathan Slater and the Athletics Department for their recognition of the outgoing board members and our sustained effort over 4 years to strengthen all the district's athletic programs as a mechanism for elevating excellence for our students. And that those efforts were paralleled in the arts. I think you saw that tonight. And it's because it's my last formal board meeting, I also want to offer a few words of gratitude to a few people who always walk into this boardroom with me that you never see, and that's my family. Okay. So I often tell people that I had to marry my sense of humor. And if you know me and you know my husband, you know that is a credible observation. And while Tom is indeed the fun parent, in all seriousness, he's also my rock, my sanity, and my stability. And boy, did I need that over the last 4 years. Tom and our children have made sacrifices because I sit on this board. Unfair sacrifices. But we've all learned, I've learned, that meaningfulness is the antidote. The guest speaker last night, who's an SUSD parent at the athletics banquet, reminded us that's learning how to accept the struggle. He actually said, like, love it. I didn't love it, but I learned how to embrace it. And I think all of us did because of how much turbulence we were trying to weather for kids. But even better, the antidote is to turn it into a really long list of positive and impactful changes and accomplishments for our students, staff, and families. And it has been a privilege and an honor to play a small part in making that long list of positive, meaningful, and impactful accomplishments a reality. So thank you to all of you who supported those efforts, and including those of you who were willing to engage. We may have disagreed, but you were willing to engage in an informed, civil discussion and debate. And come 2025, when a new board constitutes, I'm confident you're in good hands. And congratulations, particularly to the district administration. You survived me. All right. All right. And with that, I think we will turn to our information, we're going to do public comment now. I tried to skip over that, sorry. All right, a few ground rules for those of you that don't already know them. In compliance with the open meeting laws, the governing board may not discuss or take action tonight on any matters raised during public comment that are not on the agenda. However, the governing board members may respond to direct criticism, ask staff to review a matter, or that a matter be placed on a future agenda. As a reminder, each speaker will have 2 minutes. The screen will indicate the time. Please be prepared to close your comments and relinquish the floor at the conclusion of your time. The board asks that each speaker please introduce yourself by stating your name and whether you live within the district for clarity in the record. We thank you for your time and attendance here this evening, and your cooperation following the meeting decorum and protocols. I'm going to read the name of the speaker. When you hear your name, could you please come up to the podium? Once you start speaking, your time will start. I will make a good faith effort to pronounce your name accurately. However, if I do not, please accept my apologies and know that it was not meant any disrespect. Our first speaker is Patricia Pellet.
Good evening, Governing Board. I first want to congratulate our new Arizona Senator and her appointment to the Education Committee. I'm speaking about the transportation with the third party. As many of you know, I've lived through hell with the third-party transportation system and my special needs boy. And I understand that it's a complex issue because there are certain kids on IEPs, foster kids, group home kids who have to be transported from far away, including out of district, because of certain laws. And unfortunately, it's unfortunate too, because I can't imagine any foster child, vulnerable child who would choose to be raped over attending their local school. So I want to know, unfortunately, we do have to move forward with a new transportation service, but I want to know what's changed. It wasn't just an issue with the transportation system. It was an issue with the transportation department at SUSD. And it was proven that they were notified over 3 months, many times, that my boy was being abused and nothing was done. I was told the lady was on vacation, and she was not. She was busy emailing. She just never took action. So what has changed on SUSD's side, and what's going to happen with this new transportation company? Will they have cameras in their cars? Will they notify the parent immediately if there's any type of issues instead of just relying on the school to do so? Will they provide proof of full background checks on their drivers? And that is it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Risa Langbecker. All right, it looks like we will move to our next speaker, Denny Brown.
Hi, crew, how are you? I'm Denny Brown, I live in the hood. I am so proud of our district. I mean, I can't tell you, I am way proud. But tonight, I am here because of Julie, Zach, and Libby. Guys, thank you for your stewardship. It's huge. And believe me, I know this isn't an easy gig. Whew, boy, do I know. But along the way, I hope you had some fun, and I hope those rewarding moments made it all worth it. Thank you for your service.
Next up is Jeff Rattay.
I spent 13 years as a full-time substitute teacher in the Scottsdale schools, 16 years doing volunteer veteran presentations for the Joe Foss Institute, including Scottsdale schools, and 7 years as a paid coach in the Scottsdale schools. Most years I did multiple sports. I'm asking you, Dr. Hartwells, to authorize your lawyer to negotiate a settlement. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. You gave Dr. Menzel a medal at the last board meeting. I was an 18-year-old kid when I arrived in Vietnam and returned to the States 10 months later on a medevac airplane. I have 9 combat citations, including 2 Purple Hearts. Don't finish your term by allowing Scott Menzel to throw a 100% service-connected disabled veteran under the bus.
And next is Shelley Hummin.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Menzel and Gladys. I am Shelley Hummin, graduate, former teacher and parent of SUSD, and currently I am the very proud principal at Pueblo Elementary. But tonight I am here to speak to you on behalf of being the president of the Scottsdale Administrators Association. On behalf of our association, it is my honor to stand before you to express our heartfelt gratitude to our exiting governing board members, Dr. Libby Hartwells, Julie Sanowski, and Zach Lindsay, for their dedication and service to the Scottsdale Unified School District. The responsibilities of a school governing board member are immense and multifaceted. It is a role that demands dedication, compassion, and resilience. You have taken on the substantial responsibility of making critical decisions that shape the education landscape for our students, families, and educators alike. The countless hours you have devoted to meetings, discussions, and careful deliberation performed on a voluntary basis speaks volumes about your commitment and to our community and its future. Throughout your tenure, you have navigated numerous challenges and have kept our students at the heart of every decision, ensuring that their best interests are prioritized because kids. As we reflect on your contributions during your tenure, we are reminded of the profound impact that dedicated individuals like you have on the lives of our students and the broader community. Thank you for your tireless efforts, your unwavering support, and your belief in the importance of public education. Thank you very much.
Next is Marta Werbanowska.
Good evening, members of the Scottsdale Unified School District School Board. My name is Marta Werbanowska, and I do not live in the district, but I am a volunteer with Moms Demand Action, which is a nationwide advocacy organization that supports gun sense policies. I'm a strong advocate for the safety and well-being of SUSD students and support the policy revision to the suicide prevention policy, IHAMDA. The topic of firearm safety and safe storage is not just a polity discussion, it is a matter of life and death. Every year, countless preventable tragedies occur when firearms are left unsecured, leading to unintentional shootings, suicides, or their use in school-related violence. Implementing a policy to educate parents and guardians about safe firearm storage is a common sense and proactive step to protect our children and community. First, I want to emphasize that this is not about politics, it's about responsibility. Responsible firearm ownership includes ensuring that guns are stored securely, unloaded, and out of reach of unauthorized users, particularly children. Studies show that proper firearm storage can reduce the risk of firearm suicide by up to 78% among youth and prevent accidental shootings. Finally, I want to remind everyone that this issue is deeply personal. Many of us know someone who has been affected by gun violence, whether directly or indirectly. Consider that firearms are the leading cause of death for children and teens ages 1 through 19 in the U.S. Imagine the peace of mind we can bring to parents, teachers, and students by taking concrete action to reduce these risks. As the policy reads today, safe firearm storage is an opt-in opportunity with a healthy majority of families opting in for their students to receive education. With this healthy majority, we know that SUSD families value and prioritize safe firearm storage education. I support the policy amendment to make firearm storage education an opt-out opportunity so that we may ensure all students receive this critical knowledge and keep our community and school districts safe.
And that is our last speaker. Are there any board members who wish to respond to the extent permitted to do so? I see none. For we will go ahead and move on to the information and discussion item 9A, assessment and accountability update. Dr. Bachna.
Thank you. Good evening, President Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, Governing Board members, Dr. Menzel, and Mrs. Wagner. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to provide you with an assessment and accountability update for the 2023-2024 school year. Tonight, we'll be reviewing our own assessment results, as well as comparing our performance to other area school districts. Briefly, our 3rd through 8th graders took the AASA last spring, which stands for Arizona's Academic Standards Assessment. This test covers both English Language Arts, or ELA, and math. The English test content includes reading and writing, with every student required to respond to a writing prompt. Our 9th graders took the ACT Aspire, which includes English, math, reading, and science. Our 11th graders took the ACT, which covers the same content areas as the ACT Aspire. And finally, our 5th, 8th, and 11th graders took the AZ-SCI, a science test that assesses our student mastery of grade level standards in science. The 5th grade AZ Science test covers content from 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. The 8th grade test covers content taught throughout middle school, and the 11th grade science test covers the first 3 years of high school science standards. It is worth noting that every student in the tested grade level takes these assessments. Opting out is not permitted. With that, let's move on to our test results. On this slide is a comparison of our performance on the AASA and ACT English assessments to 9 comparison districts. The numbers indicate the percentage of our students testing as proficient, which indicates mastering the grade level standards in English language arts. These are the same comparison districts we presented last fall. They were chosen as comparisons due to their demographics and/or size being similar to our own. You can see that of Scottsdale student performance ranked first in all elementary grade levels and overall in the top 3 in all comparisons. On this next slide is a comparison of our performance on the AASA and ACT math assessments to the same 9 comparison districts as displayed on the previous slide. The numbers indicate the percentage of our students testing as proficient, which again indicates they mastered the grade level standards. You can see that of SUSD student performance ranked first in grades 3, 4, 5, and 7, and second in grades 6 and 11, and 5th in grade 8. Of note, our grade 8 math performance was a single percentage point lower than those of our comparisons in Chandler, Deer Valley, and Gilbert, who shared a 3-way tie for second. Overall, the Scottsdale students demonstrated proficiency of the ELA and math grade level standards at a higher rate than both Maricopa County and the state overall. These differences were greater in math than in ELA. While the previous slide showed an aggregate comparison of all AASA scores, this one breaks out our English language arts results by grade level. Again, Scottsdale is outperforming the state and county averages across all grade levels. These differences are biggest in elementary school and more modest in secondary school, but in every comparison, Scottsdale students are demonstrating mastery of grade level standards by at least 12 percentage points more than the comparisons. This slide depicts student performance by cohort in English. The teal bars represent our own scores. The orange bars are the county averages, and the blue are Arizona. The first set of bars on the left-hand side depicts student performance of the 4th grade cohort, comparing the results to their prior school year. As you go across the table, these charts increase chronologically by grade level. Scottsdale students saw an increase in scores from 3rd to 4th grade and 5th to 6th grades. The 6th to 7th grade cohort stayed the same, while the 5th and 8th grade cohorts saw a decrease in English performance. Of note is that the trends in improvement or decline in test scores by cohort were mimicked at the county and state level. In other words, in the cohorts where we saw decreases, the state did as well. This chart depicts Arizona AASA math results by grade level. Again, Scottsdale is outperforming the state and county averages across all grade levels. In every instance, Scottsdale students are demonstrating mastery of math grade level standards by at least 14 percentage points more than the comparisons. This slide depicts student performance by cohort in math in the same fashion as the earlier slide did for English. Again, the teal bars represent our own scores, the orange are the county averages, and the blue are Arizona. Across all cohorts, there was a decrease in math performance from one grade level to the next. The state also exhibited drops in cohort data at all grade levels. This data supports our district focus on math achievement for our wildly important goal this school year. While Scottsdale math scores are higher than in other parts of the state, we have clear room for improvement. So while I stand up here every fall and discuss our overall results on the state assessments, I thought it may offer some context for you to see the types of items our students are answering on the AASA. On the screen is an example of an English language arts test item. Our students must first read a passage about an injured bird and trees, and then answer several questions about the passage. In part A, it asks the students to infer the bird's feelings about spending the winter among the northern trees. In part B, Students must identify the 2 details in the first paragraph that support their response to Part A. Finally, in question 2, the students must choose 2 ideas that are supported by the picture. Of note, Part B and question 2 both require more than one response to the question, and students do not earn partial credit. So I asked my board members here, which grade level do you think this item belongs to? It would be grades 3 through 8. Any guesses?
We thought that was a fairer question than asking you to answer the question and then have it graded later. So.
Third grade. This is 3rd grade. So let's move on to the sample math test items. The first question on the left asks our students to categorize linear equations. They must categorize all 3 correctly to earn credit for the test item. In the question on the right, the student must know how to read a graph about coal consumption over time and then select all the correct answers. As you can see, these questions are more complex than a single multiple choice response item. Students have to complete several steps to determine the answers and understand what is being asked, which involves not only math skills, but reading comprehension. Any guesses on this one? This is a grade 8 item. As we continue to learn about the impact of learning disruption during the pandemic on student achievement, in early June, Dr. Seamson did an analysis of our own student achievement in relation to learning modality during the 2020-2021 school year. In Scottsdale, all students had the option of returning to learn in person during the fall of 2020. While many of our families choose to send their students back to school in person that year, others chose to keep their students attending school online throughout the school year. What you see on the screen now are 2 charts, one depicting spring 2024 English achievement by learning modality 3 years prior, that's on the left, and on the right, the same information presented analyzing math achievement. There are 2 interesting points to be made in this analysis. First, with the exception of 4th grade English performance, all of our students who attended school with us in person during the 2020-21 school year are outperforming their peers 3 years later. Second, regardless of learning modality, across all grade levels in English and ELA, students who are enrolled in Scottsdale for longer periods of time outperform their peers who joined SUSD at a later date. In math, the same trend holds true for grades 3, 4, 5, and 7. These charts speak to the importance not only of in-person learning, but the long-term benefits of a SUSD education on student achievement. The next few slides address ELA and math performance from a growth perspective. In other words, not just looking at if students are achieving proficiency on the state assessments, but if they are demonstrating growth towards proficiency, or if they are already meeting that mark, if they are growing towards higher levels of proficiency. In Arizona, the state school letter grade labels are highly dependent on student growth as measured by AASA in elementary and middle school, and they are also somewhat dependent on student growth percentiles as measured by the ACT Aspire and ACT performance in high school. Here you can see the growth score distributions by grade level of our students in ELA in spring 2024. There are 3 categories: low, average, and high growth. Across all grade levels, our students were demonstrating a significant amount of growth in ELA. This percentage was lowest in 6th grade and highest in 11th grade. And here you can see the growth score distribution by grade level of our students in math in spring 2024. Across all grade levels, our students were demonstrating a significant amount of growth in math. Again, this percentage was lowest in 6th grade and highest in 11th grade. Moving on to our science scores, the AZ-SCI. In relation to our comparison districts, we are in the top 4 at all grade levels. We are ranked highest in 5th grade where we were behind, we were rated highest in 8th grade where we were second behind Deer Valley. While we are ranked 3rd in 5th grade, 2 districts were tied for 1st. In 2024, Our scores demonstrated a slight decrease in grades 5 and 8 from spring 2023 and a slight increase in grade 11. Arizona's scores showed similar trends in the data, with 5th and 8th grade scores being slightly lower than the previous spring, while 11th grade scores stayed the same. As a reminder, we give both the ACT Science Test and AZ Sci in 11th grade, and our students focus more on the ACT Science Test than they do on the AZ Sci. And here's a sample item from the AZ Sci test. Students are asked to read a chart about honeybee flower preferences and then graph the data on a chart. They are required to click and drag each bar to the corresponding height from the chart. Finally, they are asked to interpret the data and choose which type of flower the honeybees prefer next after yellow and which they prefer the least. This is an example from the 5th grade science test. Moving on to our ACT Aspire results, which again, these are our 9th graders that take this test. So all Arizona 9th graders take this test, but I have to point out at the national level, this test is no longer being used as ACT has actually discontinued it in favor of a new test that's called the pre-ACT. Arizona doesn't release a lot of information about this test to school districts, and the information on this slide is taken from the score reports released by the testing company. So we don't have any official comparisons to other school districts. The bars in teal at the top represent the highest scores on these assessments, which represent college readiness for the 4 content areas. Let me choose the slide there. From this slide, you can see that our student performance is strongest in English and then reading, followed by math and science. So since I covered that without being on the slide, the first bar is English performance, the second chart there is math, the third is reading, and the final one is science. So again, our results were strongest in English and reading, and then followed by math and science. Moving on to the ACT, here are the composite scores for Scottsdale, the state, and the nation over time. It is worth noting that at the national level, not every student takes the ACT. Arizona tests all of their 11th graders, so the average scores represent a wider range of students than those self-selecting in other states to take the exam. The composite scores are an average of the 4 areas tested: English, reading, math, and science. Scottsdale's composite score average did not change from 2023. Looking at just English scores now on this test. Our English scores were modestly lower than those from the previous spring. We went from 20.7 to 20.4. The state and national averages on this one remain the same. Looking at our reading scores, these were slightly up in the spring of 2024. We went from 20.9 in the spring of 2023 to 21.1 in the spring of 2024. But the state and national averages stayed the same. Looking at our math, our scores did not change from the previous spring. They stayed the same, while the state average went down slightly and the national averages remained the same. And finally, let's take a look at our science scores on the ACT. We did go see our average score out of 36 was up slightly this past spring, as was the state average, so that was a good trend. The national average did not change. Finally, looking at our AP exams, our AP results from last spring. So our AP test scores, just as for those that don't know, these range from 1 to 5. So 1 is being the lowest score on the exams and 5 being the highest. Generally, a score of 3 or higher is considered passing the exam. In the spring of 2024, Scottsdale students completed nearly 3,700 AP tests, up from the prior year total. In addition, scores were higher this past spring, with 49% of AP tests scored as being high as 4s and 5s, which are the 2 highest scores possible. So I've shown this chart over time the last couple of years, so it's not new if you've seen these presentations, but this just demonstrates the potential cost savings for our students who choose to utilize their AP score performance for college credit. This chart demonstrates a potential tuition savings amount by using the cost per credit hour at ASU and comparing it to the number of credits that could be earned from passing AP tests in various courses. Of note, there are 32 separate assessments on this list for 2024, reflecting the variety of AP coursework available across our campuses. While many students attend college full-time rather than on a credit-by-credit basis, it is interesting to note the success of our students on these exams and consider the potential cost savings for them as they pursue their post-secondary education. This amount this last spring would have been over $6.6 million. Also, it's good to see the additional test results in our data from last spring, such as Physics 2, Physics C, and Japanese language and culture. To briefly recap on our current academic KPIs, we are looking to increase our AASA English Language Arts passing rate in third grade by 3% this year to 63% passing. In math, we are following cohort trend data for grades 4 through 8 based upon their 3rd to 7th grade scores, with each grade level having a score goal of a 3% increase. In 9th grade, the academic goal is based upon the ACT Aspire science scores, and it is set at a 3% increase over last spring's scores. So the goal will be met if 37% of our 9th graders reach the highest 2 levels of that exam. In 11th grade, there is an ACT composite score goal set at 21.3, which is a 0.5 increase over the previous spring. And there also is another math goal focusing upon middle school math and decreasing the percentage of students scoring in the lowest category of the exam by 3% based on cohort data. Lastly, there is a goal to increase the percentage of students earning a C or better in Algebra 1 by the end of 9th grade to 74% or higher. One final point on this slide, our KPIs for academics are based on the initial release of test scores in late May and include all the students who test with us. In summary, the results of our state assessments from last spring reflect solid student achievement, but there is always room for improvement. With the board-adopted WIG focusing on math achievement in particular, this fall our schools have been busy implementing the IXL assessments across all grade levels and monitoring student progress on a continuous basis. My office, in connection with the Teaching and Learning Department, are reviewing implementation results by site and grade level and offering regular professional development opportunities for teachers. During November's early release, 85 teachers participated in learning to utilize assessment results from the ACT practice platform to assign targeted school practice in IXL to their students. In addition, during first 2 quarters, we've had MTSS academic and behavioral support teachers and leadership meetings. Our TILs are coming in. These meetings allow us to gather feedback from sites on what is and isn't working and what supports they need to foster student success. The collaboration that takes place during these gatherings is incredible, as our TILs learn from one another and are able to bring ideas back to their own campuses to try out. Finally, during December, district leaders are also visiting campuses for classroom walkthroughs with site administration to watch all the amazing things going on in our classrooms and to offer in-person support as well. And with that, I turn it over for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Bachna. Are there any questions from any board members or comments? Ms. Sinowski.
Thank you, Board President Dr. Wells. Dr. Bachna, thank you for this comprehensive report, and thank you to all the staff members that had input on this. I know this was a big lift to explain it to people outside of your arena, so thank you.
Thank you. I'll add my thanks, not just for this much anticipated presentation, but also over the last 4 years. I think we put you and your team through their paces. You've always kept up, and you always done so with grace and accuracy, which I sincerely appreciate and respect. I also will just say publicly that graph of the coal consumption might be one of the most miserable examples of a poorly calibrated y-axis I've ever seen. So I don't know why anybody would get that right. So that is terrible. But thank you so much. And congratulations really to the students and the teachers. There's some good progress there. I mean, there's always room for improvement, of course, but really, really proud of everyone. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Great. Okay, we are now moving to the 2 action items that were moved up in the agenda. So we will start with action item 11A next, titled Approve the Use of Contracted Transportation Services Using the SAVE PPCS Cooperative Contract. Ms. Crozier and Mr. Jacobson.
Thank you. Good evening, President Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, members of the board. Tonight, we actually have Greg here, who's going to give this presentation more so, and then open it up for questions, but it's really looking at another contracted source for transporting our students. So with that, I'll introduce Greg.
I think she was afraid to say my last name. It's Pretty Man, and it's oxymoronic. Thanks for allowing me to be here tonight. And Patricia, I hope more importantly than your questions, that I'm able to answer your questions and make you feel comfortable with us. My name is Greg Prettyman. I don't know how I click to go to the next slide. Oh, down here, we got you. Okay, thanks. So I am the Vice President of First Alt, which is the Alternative Transportation Division of First Student. First Student's the largest transportation company, student transportation company in the nation. And I started alternative transportation about 15 years ago. And we saw a need for districts for students sometimes to ride outside of a bus, whether there was 1 or 2 students going to a school, whether the times didn't work or there was a driver shortage. So I have more experience than anyone in this industry. We really kind of invented it, myself and a few others. And I came over to First Student because I wanted to come somewhere where we could offer districts and parents a complete solution, where we could offer them anything from alternative transportation to white van fleets, to the smaller buses, to the full-size buses. And so they asked me to come over and put this program together. And so our model works very similar models you've heard before, but we work with transportation companies, and we vet their drivers to the same standards as our bus drivers. And so what makes this different, and when you talk about, Patty, about what will change, is whether it's a school bus driver or it's a driver in an alternative vehicle showing up, that driver has the same training, the same background checks, the same drug and alcohol program as our First Student bus drivers. So we've adopted the same standards across our fleet universally. And that just gives me a lot of confidence. When I was running alternative transportation without working with the bus company, we had to kind of come up with our own standards or use third party. So it's been great to be with First Student and be able to adopt their standards. The other thing that makes this different is that we'll have the same driver every single day. So it'll function much like a bus route, where the same vehicle and the same driver will be assigned to that student or students. And Patricia, to answer one of your questions, we have 2 full-time staff that live here in Scottsdale, and they'll be able to come out and personally make the introduction to the driver when needed, or they can do it over the phone if that's more convenient for the families. And when and if there's a change to a driver, for example, maybe they're sick or maybe they're on vacation, we communicate that to both the district and the parent and the schools to let them know, here's the new driver, here's the new vehicle, here's what time they'll be there, and here's how long that change will take place. So I've just learned over the years, over 15 years, with special needs students, consistency matters. And you learn over time, if you play the theme song from Moana, some students will just ride easily and nicely the whole way. And others, if you play that, they're going to start punching and kicking like I would maybe. So we've just learned that same driver, that driver starts to learn about the student, and they start to get the trust of the parent as well. So that's a couple of the things that make us different. And then I also wanted to let you know that every vehicle will have a camera. And so that will be non-negotiable. Every vehicle, if you call upon us that same day, if you need footage from an hour previously, we can get that footage and get that to you so you can review that. I think that's critical. I think that helps both the students and the drivers and protects both of them, most importantly, the students. And then the other thing is sometimes it's difficult to identify an alternative transportation vehicle, especially when they pull up to the school or when that first week or two. The nice thing about our model is after the first couple of weeks of having the same driver and the same vehicle, that doesn't become really an issue. The parents know, oh, here comes the red minivan, here comes our driver, the schools get to know them. But the first couple weeks we'll make sure, and always they'll have a red vest on that indicates their work for First Student. They'll also have a placard in their vehicle. They'll also have a driver ID. And then one innovative thing we came up with is a digital ID. And that digital ID confirms that their background documents, their driver's license, their insurance is up to date to the minute. So for example, you can't produce that digital ID unless you're a verified driver. And so those are just some of the things, again, that we've learned over the years that are important to parents, schools, and the districts. And the other thing that'll be important for you is a parent app. I'm sure you're used to that or seen that, but the districts, the schools, and the parents will have a parent app, allows them to track where their vehicle is at. It also allows them to cancel trips on their own. So a lot of times with special needs transportation, if you're having a rough morning with that student or they're sick the night before, instead of having to call into the district and burden the staff, they can simply on the app cancel that trip and that removes the cost from that trip as well from the district. And really, that's really it. You know, I will say, I wish I wasn't here tonight. You know, I wish everything had went very smoothly for you and that the atrocities that happened hadn't happened. But I am here tonight, and we're here just to help. And we give you our word that as you trust us, we will deliver on that. Every driver, like I said, will go through the background checks, state, local, federal, and first student, as well as we have ongoing monitoring programs. So if something does pop up, we are pushed an automatic notice, hey, you know, there's a speeding ticket, hey, there was a DUI, anything that could possibly happen. We get real-time alerts to that, and we can act on that information real-time. So that's all. I just wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions, and Patricia, we'd love to meet with you afterwards as well. Thank you.
So that was just a quick overview. We are recommending this vendor to use for services through the GPPCS contract. We put an estimated impact of about $300,000 on that to go through the rest of the year. It will take a little bit of time. I know the governing board approved another vendor just recently. We are working with them as well to get them set up. It does take a little bit of time just to get everybody set up, everybody trained, and then move families over to that new platform. So if approved, we would have this set up and ready to go by the end of January, 1st of February. Any questions?
Board members, are there any questions? Ms. Carney.
Thank you. So I just have a question, two questions. In our board memo, or the memo that you put out to the board on October 1st, First Alt was not included as a recommended contracted transportation vendor. So what changed and why has this not been a company that we've considered before?
So they are just coming into the valley to start business here. It was actually come to me from another director, another district that was using them, that said they're new in town. And so started talking with them. To be very honest with you, I lost a supervisor to them that works for them now. And that's why I would put my kids in his car. And so started talking with them, told me about all that they do, and said, I think this is a great solution.
Okay, great. What about cancellation fees? How do those differ from what we've been paying Hop Skip Drive?
So it's the same across all platforms. It's a 2-hour notification prior to the pickup time. And that's through the app or calling in. However, it has to be 2 hours prior or we have to pay that fee.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Ms. Sanowski.
Thank you, Board President Dr. Hartwells. Mr. Jacobson, what is the difference of using First Alt compared to some of our past or approved vendors?
With them and Adroit, they're comparable companies. They offer the same service. Companies in the past, well, we know the challenges we've had, and there were some challenges, and they were described in the board memo that went out. The reason why I know we have Adroit and we're moving forward with them, but like he said, every route is assigned a driver and a vehicle. And Hop Skip, if you put them in the platform tonight, because they have the way they operate, they have drivers that can just accept that and be there the next morning. With this way, the possibility that is there, but since they're hiring drivers and vehicles for these said routes, there may not be for a McKinney-Vento kid that I don't have no time that I have to make happen per law if they don't have a driver. So having a second company will allow that flexibility of, well, you don't have a driver yet, but maybe they have one that they can supply for us to get that student transported.
Do you see any disruption of service to any of our students and families?
No, that is my concern with, and that's why we brought the other item that I think is after this one is extending. I know we won't need any more money, but to extend the hop skip through January because of this late in the year. By the time it's voted on tonight and we get a PO in place, we'll be down to like next week to make this all happen, and it's a lot. And I don't think that's fair to our students and our families to make that quick transition to come back from winter break and hope that all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted. Parents have all the apps and everything that they need for their students. And so as soon as we get back from winter break, we will start that transition. It'll give us time to get the POs in place, meet with everybody, make sure we have enough drivers to support our students. And then we will start transitioning over during January once we get back.
I appreciate both of your recommendations for this service.
All right, any other questions or comments? No. All right, I just had one question maybe for Mr. Prettyman. The slide, I'm not sure what slide it is, 9, refers to multilingual support. Is the app multilingual? enabled?
No, the app's not, but our dispatch team is. So if parents need to make a phone call, 50% of our staff is multilingual.
Okay. And does the app have a lady that lives on the phone and speaks to you?
No.
No, that doesn't have that. Okay.
Oh, you mean like it's?
For the visually impaired?
Oh, no, it does not. No.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions or comments? All right, I move to approve action item 11A, the use of the contracted transportation services using the SAVE GPPCS cooperative contract. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. We'll move on straight away to 11B, approve the use of contracted transportation services using the Mojave Educational Services Arizona Cooperative Contract. And I believe Ms. Crozier already addressed, and Mr. Jacobson addressed what this is. This is a revenue neutral action to simply extend the time to spend what's already been authorized with Hop Skip Drive to enable that transition window in order to onboard the other contracted transportation services. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All right, if not, I move to approve action item 11B, the use of contracted transportation services using the Mojave Educational Services Arizona Cooperative Contract. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. We will move back up to the consent agenda now. There were no changes to the consent agenda. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second? There's this moved and seconded by Ms. Sanowski. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Right, and we will now move back to action item 11C, second read and approval, Governing Board Policy GCF regarding professional staff hiring. Mr. Buzan, will you be just fielding questions at this point?
Dr. Hartwells, yes. And also I wanted to say thank you for your service to Mr. Lindsay, Ms. Sanowski. It's been great working with you, and I really appreciate it. And congratulations on completing the 4 years. And yes, I'm here for any questions on items 11C through G.
Very good, thank you. Board members, are there any questions for the Governing Board Policy GCF regarding professional staff hiring? Hearing none, I move to approve action item 11C. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Moving to 11D, this is also a second read and approval, Governing Board Policy GCFC regarding professional staff certification and credentialing requirements. Are there any outstanding questions for Mr. Buzan? Hearing none, I move to approve Governing Board Policy GCFC as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Sanowski seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, that motion passes 5-0. Moving to action item 11E, second read and approval, Governing Board Policy GDF regarding support staff hiring. Are there any remaining questions or comments? Ms. Carney? Oh, okay. Any outstanding questions or comments? No. I move to approve Governing Board Policy GDF regarding support staff hiring as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Carney seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 11F, second read and approval, Governing Board Policy GDFA regarding support staff qualifications and requirements. Any outstanding questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to approve Governing Board Policy GDFA regarding support staff qualifications and requirements as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 11G, second read and approval, Governing Board Policy IHAMD regarding instruction and training in suicide prevention. Is there any comments or questions to Ms. Sanowski?
Thank you, President. Dr. Hartwells. I went back and reviewed this previous policy that was discussed in the March 22nd, 2022 meeting, which passed 5-0 by the governing board. And I believe that the current language did not reflect the board's intentions made publicly at that time as passed. There was very clear discussion about it being opt-out in comparison to, at the same time, we were talking about surveys because that was part of the policy, the same policy, which is required by law to have the opt status, but the gun safety education, as far as including it in this policy itself, was discussed as being opt-out. So I just want to make that note, and maybe moving forward as an opportunity for the governing board members, when there's extended discussion and a policy, that the final product is brought then to the governing board for additional review, just to make sure everything after the second read, if there's discussion, is in place properly. That's it.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the second read of Governing Board Policy IHAMD regarding instruction and training in suicide prevention.
There's a motion. I will second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say nay.
No.
That motion fails 2-3. Well, moving on to future items. Board members may propose topics for future consideration. Any board member desiring to place on an item on the agenda would please notify, actually by board policy BEDBA, must notify the superintendent in writing. Are there any future topics that board members would like to suggest? Well, I have a few, and I know that might be odd, but I think they're relevant. So building off the good phase one work that was led by teaching and learning, and now that we're further removed from kind of the acute impacts of the pandemic, I would request that the board members resume consideration of future focused graduation requirements by taking up a modernization of policy IKF, graduation requirements. Also in the new year, I would request and/or recommend that an executive session be held to discuss the Auditor General's findings from the audit of the district's security. No other? Ms. Warner?
I'd like to have a discussion and put into place that opt-in is an email or a paper that is signed and returned, not put into Synergy as it was this past time. Parents tend to be on autopilot when they're going through the actions of Synergy. You're doing your stuff for your picture release and all that stuff at the beginning of the year, and I think it's vital that we continue to have the opt-in requirements be via paper or email. I'll put it in an email.
Thank you. I just make sure Dr. Menzel got all that. All right, very good. Any other requests? No? All right, date of an upcoming meetings. The next meeting will be Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 6 PM. A regular governing board organizational meeting here at Coronado High School, followed by Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 at 6 PM, a special governing board meeting at the Mojave District Annex. And with that, we'll say thank you to all of you. Happy holidays, and we like to move to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.